Chris and I and show off our faces, you can go to YouTube. So that's another place you can find us. But Adam, no worries, buddy. LMScast.com. Yeah, Adam says he can't jump in, but we love you, Adam. Next time.
That's
okay,
cool.
So to the audience, is there any last questions that you have of Josh or Chris or myself before we call this to an end? And while we're waiting to see whether anybody's getting for the questions, guys, thank you so much for your time, because we're coming up to the hour, so we have to now have your time. But this is something that is very, it's a great topic, because we just don't know what is the best way and the best places to put our courses that are going to suit us as individuals. So it's always good to put these options out in front of people and to explain, the pros and cons between everything. And to say, like, Lifter is something that I'm definitely going to be looking at in the near. I don't have a course for it yet, because I'm still building my premium course, but I'm very, very keen to get my courses back onto my WordPress site. So it sounds like the solution for me as well.
Awesome.
Okay, so I don't think we've got any more questions coming in. I think it's all. Thank you for everybody who's come along and participated in the chat. It's always great to see, and that's why we do our podcasts on Blab, because we love you, we appreciate you, and it's exciting to have you along. And
I can take that last question there. Does LifterLMS have a landing page integrated? Our approach to that is like with a course sales page. We give you the option to have a different page displayed whether or not you're allowed to see the course or not. So a lot of people use the non-logged in or enrolled view to have a sales page. And then once the user logs in, they have more informational. There's no testimonials. You're in the course now. So I hope that answers your question. We've also seen other people use other services to, like, landing page services to drive traffic into their courses or their LMS platform if they're doing a really specific promotion. But yeah, the main thing is just that course description that can be different depending upon if you're allowed to see it or not.
Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. It's been absolutely brilliant. And thank you, everybody who attended. It's great having you on board. And tomorrow, actually, I know it's a bad time. It's like something like 3 a.m. Pacific, but it's 8 p.m. my time. I'm talking to Sarah Cordina, who has built a 7-figure education business. She was broke and homeless, and in a very short period of time, she has built a 7-figure education business. She's an award-winning edupreneur, and she's also a nominee for a couple of Telstra awards as well. So that's at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's GMT plus 10. I know it's 3 a.m. Pacific and probably 6 a.m. Eastern, so it's probably a little bit kinder to the folks on the eastern side of the country. But anyway, so just check out that. If you go to blab.im/Tim Cooper edu, you can subscribe to that upcoming Blab as well. And and my podcasts come out on a Wednesday Australian time, which is probably a Saturday afternoon over in the States. Okay, guys, thanks for everything, and we'll see you again next week.
All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. See ya.
See ya. So, hello and welcome to another episode of the online course coaching podcast. And today I am joined by two. At the moment I've got one, but I am joined by two very skilled and experienced instructors and also platform developers. So at the moment I've got Chris Badgett. He is the co-creator of LifterLMS and also a co-host of the very, very informative LMSCast podcast, which I highly recommend you guys also get onto. I've been enjoying catching up with all those episodes. So welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Tim. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Can you just to get people up to date, can you please let people know just a little bit more about you and maybe like your background?
Sure. My journey into technology and teaching online is a little bit untraditional. It started in Alaska. I spent a long time in Alaska actually training and running sled dogs and then managing a helicopter-supported dog sled tourism business on a glacier. I had like 30 employees, a couple hundred sled dogs that I was helping run a business on. During that period, I got really into, as a hobby, WordPress, and I was really into leadership, and I started getting into influence and marketing. My traditional background is actually in the social sciences and anthropology. So I came into this whole thing from the side. But I loved training. I love training animals. I love developing people. And a lot of my stuff my experience kind of comes from a roots kind of place like that. Over time, I got involved in WordPress. I started creating my own online courses, which Joshua and I tell a funny story. When we first launched LifterLMS, our WordPress LMS plugin, about how it all started with breakfast. And I literally sat down at a kitchen table in a house I was house sitting and gave myself a goal to create my first Udemy course in one night and launch it about how to make the perfect omelet. And I know that sounds kind of funny, but that's how my journey began. I ended up creating a web agency. My company, I merged it with Joshua's company, Codebox, and now we operate together, and we do client services and we build product. So that's and we build specifically LifterLMS as a LMS plugin. So that's my journey. That's where I came from.
That is fantastic. And who doesn't like a perfect omelette, hey?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's these simple things, and people think they've got to come up with these far-fetched ideas, but people just want to know how to do the simple things in life sometimes. So absolutely fantastic. And welcome, Joshua.
Thank you.
Welcome to Blab as well. So now also the other side of the dynamic duo is Joshua Millage. And so, Josh, can you just introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Joshua Millage. I'm co-founder with Chris over at LifterLMS. And man, I'll try and keep the story brief, but I guess you could say I was born into education. Both my mother and my father are educators. My dad was a college professor, and my mom was a first grade teacher. And so needless to say, life was a little bit like living in a study hall. You couldn't get away from it. You had both sides of the spectrum there. Fell in love with technology really young. When I was really young, there's a picture of myself, 1-year-old Josh, with my hand on a 1986 Mac mouse, and my dad just jokes because he's like, I totally did this to you. But I think as I got older, I was really fascinated by movies like The Matrix, where it was like, is it possible? Like, how can we speed up learning? Like, and how can we lose no quality? I just love the scene where the guy kind of taps into his brain and downloads like, karate or whatever it is. And I was like, man, I think like maybe we'll get there at some point, but like, I want to participate in that. I want to distribute knowledge and figure this out. And so I had an opportunity in my undergrad degree, and I've always been very, very scrappy. And I was the dean of the business school's assistant. And
sorry guys, I've got
is that me?
No, it's me.
Oh, good. Ooh, sorry about that. My voice does that to things.
I don't know why. Hang on. I've got a second computer here.
No worries.
Maybe that might be. It shouldn't be picking up, but it's like weird things happen in this house, and for some unknown reason, you decided to come onto my second computer.
Oh. I just try and be everything, So the story goes, I'm in my undergrad degree, and I'm very scrappy. Like I think what I learned in school was how not to do school, but how to get through school in creative ways. And so this was 2010, and I told the dean of the business school, I said, there's an opportunity here, because in the U.S. there's absolutely no jobs. People are getting out of school and they're going back to school because there's no jobs. I said, but if you look at the demographics, the students who are going back to school, they want to travel, they want to do things quickly, they want it now. What if we kind of engineered the MBA programs here at Azusa Pacific, where I was at school at the time, and we made a 15-month MBA that, you went to every continent other than Antarctica. She goes, that's a brilliant idea. Instead of writing your thesis paper, why don't you design that program? And I was like, sweet, I don't want to write a thesis paper. I'd rather figure out how to travel the world. So I did that. And then at the end of it, the program was really taking off. I mean, we sold all the seats for that program really, really fast. And she goes, well, why don't you go and beta test it and make sure that it works well? And what we found was by pulling people out of the typical learning environment and putting them in different situations culturally and in different business situations, people were learning faster and retaining more information. And so I saw that in the physical world, in an actual classroom. And then through the course of creating Codebox and then merging it with Chris's company, we all just kind of agreed we wanted to focus, and we were in really, really deep into marketing automation. We wanted to pivot out of that into learning and take some of these things that I've learned in my past about switching the classroom, flipped classrooms, online learning, and what can we do here? We fell in love with the WordPress community. We love the open source nature of the WordPress community. And so we decided to jump in with our WordPress plugin, LifterLMS, and it's been an incredible year. Over the past year, we've learned a lot. We've remained bootstrapped, and so dealing with constraints, I think, it's been really healthy and forced us to focus on what matters. And and we're chugging along, moving forward. We've got some amazing plans for the end of this year into next year, and we're just excited to talk with people like you too, Tim, and just spread the word of this kind of online education revolution that's taking place right now.
Because we know it is a big industry. It's like 157 billion by the end of this year, they reckon, just off the top of my head. And obviously that's taking in everything, tertiary education and that sort of stuff, but it is a growing business. Okay. You sort of mentioned, you've touched on some of it, but I just want to sort of say why LifterLMS. Like you're talking about you've spoken about your passion and your past and your interests and stuff. I'm sorry, I'm Australian. We have some crazy words here. Okay. So, but specifically why, and as obviously as we go along and discuss, we'll talk about the existing platforms and the pros and cons and what people should sort of be looking at packaging and how they should be packaging and publishing their information to get it out and about. But just briefly, guys, why LifterLMS?
Well, I think, choosing the technology should always come second to like getting really clear on what is your unique value and what are you going to teach? How are you going to change the world? How are you going to build a viable business around that? So I think sometimes the cart gets a little in front of the horse and we look at the technology. So anybody out there who's getting into it or just getting started in teaching online, that topic that you're going to teach on and the audience you want to serve and the message you want to bring and your differentiation in the space and how you want to build a real business that can support you and grow, you got to handle that stuff. But then comes the technology. And, we've taken bits and pieces. We've built a lot of just straight up membership sites. And we have an episode on LMSCast. And we talk about this a lot about learning management systems and online courses are kind of beyond what happened with membership sites in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And you shouldn't really just use a learning management system to act like a membership site, put up a paywall, put some content behind it. The opportunity is so much richer behind that wall. And there's a lot you can do with free courses too, by the way. But once we get past that and we're really into engagement and learning and teaching, we chose WordPress. Like you mentioned, $157 billion industry, e-learning. Also, WordPress powers 22% of the web. It's a tool that's democratizing education or democratizing publishing and development. We're building on top of that. We're standing on the shoulders of giants with the goal of democratizing education. So that's kind of our big picture view. And then in terms of like the technology that goes into Lifter and how we've chosen to differentiate, we looked around the space. We really wanted to focus on engagement. We wanted to make it accessible through WordPress. And that's kind of like why LifterLMS. And we really get a good kick out of helping people launch successful platforms. Either some people just buy the plugin. We have client services that we do it with as well. But seeing somebody come in who's like a subject matter expert and then helping them craft their online course and sell that, and watching them become successful there's nothing like that. It's so great to do. And there's different people, there's the subject matter expert, there's the corporate trainer, there's the regular traditional education system person who wants to have a little bit of an online component. And we can serve all those markets. But, for us, we've kind of come in the door through the helping the solopreneur market person. And we're not against other platforms like the Udemys or the Teachables or Coursera or whatever. We think you should always do that stuff, especially for lead generation. But we're big believers in owning your own content and owning your own platform as well.
Yeah, a couple things to add too. Like, I think in the one of the things about the WordPress LMS landscape is we wanted to dive in and provide a full suite of tools to the online education entrepreneur and not force them to string along a bunch of plugins. So Lifter has really 4 key components. It has LMS features, which allow you to build a course, the course hierarchy, assess students with quizzes and that sort of thing. There's e-commerce component. So you don't have to go and install any sort of e-commerce plugin. You can immediately out of the box take payment with PayPal. We do have some premium extensions if you would like to use Stripe or Infusionsoft or something like that. In addition to that, we have engagement. So you don't need a marketing automation platform. You can actually generate emails from WordPress to your students based on actions they complete and they don't complete. So if they haven't logged into the course for 30 days, you can have an email shot from WordPress. You don't have to have Infusionsoft or anything like that to engage them and bring them back. And included in that engagement umbrella is also certification and gamification. So you can award badges, we call them achievements, based on things that they're completing again or not completing too. You could literally award a turtle badge if you haven't seen someone who for a while, or say, hey, you get a badge for being slow. You can have fun with it. I mean, the power's there for you. And then the 4th component is membership. So we actually have a full-blown membership suite involved, built into Lifter. And the reason that we did this was we realized that a lot of people were struggling finding WordPress LMS plugins that played well with membership sites because people wanted to sell multiple courses in packages and also create kind of a course prerequisite hierarchy. So with Lifter, that's all built in and ready to go. And so our goal there is, we don't want the education entrepreneur to really get stuck at the technology level. We want them to be able to execute quickly, really focus on their content. We've made it incredibly easy too to just build. I think we have best in class, best of anything I've ever seen in terms of building a course really quickly. It's just a matter of seconds. You can create the whole hierarchy and then input content right away. So those are, from a technical standpoint, why we're different. And then the last thing I want to add there is that I would pit our community against any other community on the planet. We have the absolute best user group. We have an incredibly active Facebook group, very supportive Facebook group. Everyone's sharing their courses, course ideas, what they're struggling with, how you can help. And I think that really adds a whole new layer to what we're doing. And I think it shows, I think I'm actually most proud of that. I mean, I'm a technologist, so I love the technology, but I really love the community that's formed. And they chat with us all the time, right, Chris?
Yeah.
It's pretty fun.
For example, right after this call, I'm getting off, and we don't hide. Like we're accessible, so I'm gonna. I have like an open office hour that I get on when if people have pre-sales questions and that kind of thing. It's just we like to. That's one of the ways I think we're different, is that we're here. We're real people. We also use our own product, so we just want to connect with people. That's a big part, the community piece.
It's definitely got Lifter definitely has my interest for a number of reasons. But we'll just sort of backtrack there, because you said a couple of things, like people's expectation of courses has really changed. And we'll also like to welcome everybody in that sidebar who's listening as well. Welcome along. And please, if you've got any questions whatsoever, if it's on topic, just put a /Q and then your question into the chat box, and Joshua and Chris will answer that. But welcome, and so people have got a whole different expectation. I'm actually doing a course by Ryan Levac at the moment on his survey funnel thing, and he's got, like, he had this the good old fashioned off Warrior Forum type 2-hour video stuff, and people don't want that anymore. And he actually had requests for his videos to actually chop them up into 20-minute bits. So people don't want to sit there through a 2.5-hour video. Nobody's got the time. We live busy lives, and also it's just a pain to sort of say, well, I got up to the 27-minute mark. I'll come back and watch that later. So this is why sort of more robust systems have to be put in place to build a better experience for the student. And also now you're talking about your engagement and everything else. And if you've sort of listened to some of my past podcasts, you hear me moan and groan about what pushed me away from hosting my own, because I actually tried to do my own courses on my own site before I actually went to Udemy. But what happened there, I had a WordPress plugin for the LMS, I had a WordPress plugin for the e-commerce, I had a WordPress plugin for an affiliate program, I had a host, and try and put all that together. And I'm technical. I've had 26 years in the computer. I'm a computer programmer, for goodness sake. And it all fell to pieces to me because everybody was saying, well, it's not my component. My component's working fine. Mm-hmm. So, and then we tracked it back to my host anyway. So the idea of, because I am so for hosting your own stuff, having it on your own site. But the reason why I haven't sort of been pushing that so much is because of my personal experience, and couldn't really sort of in all conscious say, well, I couldn't do it, but go out and do it yourself. Mm-hmm. And so that's then when I started to look at things like Teachable and Zenler and that sort of stuff, where you don't they take care of all that tech stuff, but then you still, like, if you want to have a membership and have all that extra functionality, it is costing you money every month to do that. So you are giving up money, sometimes up to $99 a month US. So that's a lot of money to hand over for functionality that looks like it's just coming straight out of the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing too is, and I don't know, each platform is different, but I think that the thing to be conscious of in the future too is really what's the intellectual property agreement? A lot of people don't read that, and I can raise my hand there too. Sometimes I'm just like, I want to build the course and jump on Udemy and click the checkboxes. And I think it's important too, if you're really trying to create a sustainable business, that you make sure you understand what legal agreements you're getting into. That's the beauty of what we're talking about with WordPress, is we want you to own it. And again, we don't shy away from saying you shouldn't go to Coursera or Udemy. You should, but you should use that, in our opinion, to cast a wider net to bring people into your pillar courses that you own outright 100%. So it's and I sympathize with the struggle around creating and stringing plugins together. That was my experience prior to creating LifterLMS, was trying to get A and B to work together. And then I got out of e-commerce. Oh my gosh. And everything just kind of breaks. So, we've definitely solved that problem with LifterLMS. And another exciting thing too is we've created a hierarchy of services. So if people love the idea of LifterLMS and they're still gun shy, they're like, I just don't want to touch the content at all. We're piloting a service right now called Boost that is essentially a done-for-you LifterLMS system. So you provide us the content, we'll go in, we'll configure your WordPress install the plugins, even input all your content if you'd like us to. And you can literally have your own 100% owned by you LifterLMS install and course business essentially up and running in 5 business days or less. So it's really exciting. We've had like 100% positive feedback. People are so excited. And I think the most exciting thing is actually some of the people who have gone through that process with us once have come back again and again, because like in everything we do, we add a lot of coaching and we really get engaged. I mean, I look at it like, people are, when you're bootstrapped and you everything is very meaningful because everything really matters. You don't have a boatload of cash or anything like that. We really understand that our customers are our lifeblood, and we treat them really well. And I got my hats off to Chris actually, because he manages all of those projects, and they come out with, I think, a degree in online course, how to like run an online course from Chris, because he just gives that content away for free and naturally. He loves it, and it's awesome. So. Yep.
Yeah, thanks. Just to echo Joshua's sentiment there. We are really focused on the problem. So like the problem of the Frankenstein of plugins, the problem of technology, the problem of like getting organized. So we like to really, take a problems first approach before we do any features. So for example, like we have our own cart system designed specifically for selling courses, and that's it. And then we do have an optional WooCommerce integration. Like if you live in another country and need another payment gateway, we still got your back, but you are going to have to use Woo and whatever the Woo extension you need to sell your deal. But so that's, and thank you, Josh, for the compliment there. It's like working with online course entrepreneurs. They're just amazing people. They really are. And a lot of them, I think, are kind of isolated. I mean, we come together online, but the education entrepreneurs are often kind of like, they don't necessarily flock up. Like, I don't know of an event I can go to and hang out with a bunch of course creators. So it's cool to, it's really great to interact with people and speak the same language and share the same challenges.
What do you think, though, say somebody just starting out with their first course, they're very, very new now, would you recommend that they go to a platform like Udemy first and just cut their teeth, get a feel for it? Because obviously there's no cost involved. They can throw a course up, and obviously on Udemy they've got to go through a review process, so that they're going to get their audio, their video, and stuff reviewed there. So for somebody new who probably isn't that confident or in the know about video production and everything else, do you think that's a better way to sort of like cut your teeth on a really small project, like even maybe a free project, and we'll come back to free as well with on your own side as well, because obviously that makes great lead magnets, and I'm doing a survey at the moment, and I might pop a link in there too about what people's biggest hurdle is at the moment. And it all comes down to marketing and lead magnets and everything else. But what's your idea on using these other platforms like Udemy?
I think it depends on the person. If somebody has already built a WordPress website or uploaded a video to YouTube or Vimeo or something, maybe they can go their own first and roll their own website, and just don't. That's a cool thing about using a WordPress site is you can make a site for just one course, or you can make a site that's like a collection of courses and degree programs. But if you're going to do it just starting out and you do have some technical chops or have a friend that does, you could just build buy a domain name related to your course and just try to do it. If you can publish a blog post, you're probably ready to start publishing lessons, embed a video, audio, and so on. But if you don't have technical experience, there's nothing wrong with going to a system like Udemy, and that's what I did. I mean, I could have built a membership site, but I actually went to Udemy because I wanted to see how they did it. And it kind of teaches you the basics, like, oh, okay, course, section, lessons. I can drag and drop. I can move things around. So it really depends. And then there's two types of people I've found. One is like the big picture, top down. They build the framework, the skeleton first, and then they go fill in the holes. And then there's the bottom up grassroots people who just start, all right, I'm going to make lesson one. I'll see where it goes. Right. So either way is totally viable. And, whether you roll your own or go to a hosted solution, you can take both those approaches. But I think it's important to realize that neither one of those approaches is better than the other. It just depends on your style.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things I'd add as I think about our customer base. So I'm going to assume that what we're talking about is primarily solo education entrepreneurs who are building and selling courses online. But we have a lot of people in our customer base who don't do, or they do online courses, but they're really focused on maybe building a course internally for their organization, for training purposes, or maybe they're selling to credentialing, medical interpreting training, stuff like that. Those cases, I don't think I would suggest Udemy first. I think that you really want to own your content. There's also security around that sort of thing. Education entrepreneur. Do you have a list? How big is it? If you don't have an email list, or you don't have, I would agree out there and start building relationships
I think,
already.
I think we just lost. So I guess I have to click there to let Josh back in again. I think he's having some internet issues there.
I think I've got his point where Josh was heading, and it's a really important point. Is do you have an audience already or not? And if you don't have an audience, building that email list, getting that early traction. If you already have a website and you already have an audience, even if you're a little intimidated by it, maybe roll your own. But if you're starting from zero, you can leverage Udemy's audience to get that early traction. So.
I agree, and that's something I've always said too. That if you've got your own audience, because I don't want to take anything away from Udemy, and I don't want to be seen as bashing Udemy up, but they do have lots of rules, right? And if you want to play in their sandpit, you've got to play by their rules. But their rules are just getting to a point where. And now they're getting onto instructors and talking about their tone of voice and critiquing their presentation style. I'm thinking, you can have somebody giving out absolute gold and he's not using pitch and pace and he's not jumping around everything else. But if he's still speaking and interacting, don't sit there and like I know a very, very successful, well-known instructor on Udemy who got picked on by Udemy because he wasn't. So I think that, and I've actually heard a lot of feedback from other people, like in my research, and people contact me through the podcast saying that this is the point where things are starting to sour a bit for some people with some of the impositions that Udemy is putting on. Mm-hmm. And I think the major issue then with Udemy, apart from all these rules and constant policy changes, because then you're always right. And now they've got this 3-strike policy. So if you've got 50 courses and they change their policy, you've got to go back through and look at all those courses, make sure that you're in line. Otherwise, you can get booted off. But the thing there is that they have the email address. So even if you if you generate your own traffic and you send somebody across there, you're building their platform, which they are protecting like the earth, and that's why you can't do this and you can't do that, and you can only contact them so many times. They're protecting their platform. But where's it for you? So you're doing all this promotion and marketing and emailing to your list. You're building Udemy, but then Udemy is controlling you. So I agree wholeheartedly that if you already have an audience and a following, then just jump straight on to your own site. And what I understand about Lifter is that you don't have to have like a subdomain, that you can actually run Lifter off your primary domain, which makes things a lot easier too, as far as when it comes to hooking into all your courses and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you can plug right in and just add to. There are cases where I would recommend a subdomain if you really want to keep the school separate, but if you don't need to, just pop it right in with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Janet's got a question too, and I've actually been on her list for a while. I've got to get her on for an interview. She's got to respond to me. Okay, so if you own your traffic, well, that's right. That's what we're saying. Why go to Udemy? And Collar says, for a first-time course creator, do you say LifterLMS would be easier? Okay, this is a good question from Collar from Great Speech Co. So for a first time, so we're moving away from Udemy. So he's got his own audience. Lifter versus a platform like Teachable.
I would first ask him what his website experience is. Does he manage his own website?
Okay, what we'll do, how about we bring him in and have a chat, eh?
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Come on in, Collar.
Hey.
Hello, welcome, man.
Wasn't expecting that.
Surprise.
Well, you might as well take advantage and have a chat.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for that. Yeah, cool. I've got, kind of very basic website experience. My wife has got a WordPress site for her business. I've been playing around actually with Wix to design some other sites So kind of functional experience, but I find sometimes WordPress with plugins and stuff like that a bit tricky. So Teachable seemed fairly straightforward to me, which is what I was going to do, as I always say to Tim, is his recommendation. But I was listening to you guys whilst you were on the blab. I was going through LMS Lifters. It looks pretty cool, so I thought I better ask the question. But I'm in my pajamas because it's that time of night in London, so I wasn't expecting to be called on. But hey, why not?
It's okay. Well, thank you for getting out of bed. I think that it really depends, and I've noticed that a lot of people discount their WordPress or their website experience. Just the fact that if somebody's already built a site, if you can create a web page, if you're playing with Wix, a content management system and a learning management system aren't that far off from each other. There's always that step where you have to get familiar with like the WordPress way or the Teachable way. But it's really, there's going to be a learning curve no matter what. And especially if, like you said, your wife has some experience with WordPress, that could help. I mean, in some cases, I almost say try both. Like put two horses in that race if you can, and put them side by side and see how it goes. Because at some point, if you're going to own your own platform and own your own content, you're going to need to do it eventually, or get good at hiring people to do it for you. So I mean, that's the outsourcing industry, and small project web development stuff is like, it's just a booming industry as well. So you don't always have to do it yourself. Sometimes you just have to lead it.
Nah, I think I'm a bit of a freak. I like to make sure I understand how to create it if I'm going to have it. Because, if I outsource it and then something else goes wrong, I'll just be forever outsourcing. I'll just rather, crack on and work it out.
Right. I agree. And that's real quick, Josh. One thing is we're big believers in not building black boxes. So if, we feel your pain, like if like something comes back and it doesn't work and now you're stuck, we try in everything we do to never create that black box. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's a couple of resources too. I mean, Chris has, I don't know if you want to mention them, Chris, about WordPress website in a weekend. You've got some WordPress courses out there that people can take just to up their game on WordPress outside of LMS. And then we have a full-blown course on how to set up and manage LifterLMS. That's extensive, to say the least. And in addition to that, we have our community of people who are all there to support you and help you get it up and running. I'm not very familiar with Teachable. I just pulled open the webpage right here. But I think that the other thing I would do is just have a spreadsheet of what the cost of Teachable would be with the percentages and how many seats you look at selling versus what you would save by owning that content yourself and managing it yourself. I don't know that business goal, but I would. That's how I think. I'm always running numbers, and I would just look at that too. Because if you're pushing a lot of volume, 10% up to 5% with 99, I don't know. You just have to run the model, but it's something to consider.
Yeah,
I was stuck in there too. Sorry,
go ahead.
And say, like in the past, yes, I have been sort of promoting or recommending sites like Teachable or Aka Fedora over your own site because because I hadn't heard of Lifter at that stage, and just the experience that I've had that if you're not overly techie, then you can get yourself into trouble and a lot of heartache and a lot of headache if you're going to be starting to put this puzzle of different WordPress plugins together. Then if one part stops working, then why has that stopped working? Is it that, or is it this, or is it? And sometimes then you end up with this tech headache that where you've actually got to hire somebody to actually run your WordPress site, and then you're losing sales because people can't get access. So that's saying like if you're totally non-techie and you don't want to, you've still got more control over your site at somewhere like Teachable, because then they're not selling this, they're not cross promoting you with competitor products like Udemy is. But no, as I said, I'm very interested in Lifter. It's definitely got my attention because it's out of the box, and it's not a matter of having to plug all these different things together, if you know what I mean. Like, it's out of the box, and so you don't have to be a technical whiz kid to be able to put it together. That's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the cost, to be honest, I'll pay if it's easy. I think it's kind of the way I look at it. So if LMS, I see it looks like a, upfront cost or whatever, but if it works and it's easy, then great. Teachable looks relatively kind of user-friendly and it does everything at once. So that's why the 5 or 10%, I'll take that for the peace of mind. Because IT problems are just, they're not fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Good question. I appreciate that.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for dropping in.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Good seeing you. Yeah, that's a very that's a very valid point. It depends on your comfort level as well, and sometimes people it's like outsourcing. How much time do you have to spend on these on potential problems? Now, obviously, if you're going to be hosting yourself, now with Lifter, so you have to organise your own media server as well. Would that be correct? So you need a domain host, and I'd recommend somebody who's reasonably reputable, that you're going to have good solid uptime and there's good security, because people love to hack sites. So to make sure that your host is but on top of, because people don't understand that you don't want to put your course, your videos on your host, because then all of a sudden you're going to chew up your monthly bandwidth in a snap, and then it's going to start costing you squillions. So you're going to have to start looking at something like, say, Wistia, Vimeo, Amazon. What's it? That's what I've got.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've got so that's some more sort of. But you're saying, look, you've got Boost. What media host do you recommend to your people?
I mean, that's one of the cool things about WordPress and Lifter. Like we definitely want it to be able to work right away with nothing extra, and then you can scale into integrations as needed. You can, in fact, host your own audio and video in WordPress. Audio and video, I don't recommend it. I would take audio before I would take video, and a lot of it depends on the power of your hosting account, which we work with hosting accounts of all levels, stuff that costs like nearly free or $3 a month up to $1,000 a month, like really premium cloud hosting. So you can scale, but a lot of people are starting with a basic hosting account. And I recommend, the Vimeo, and like Adam Silver is saying, Wistia are some excellent premium embed services for video. And then SoundCloud, we've had a lot of success with for audio. And like if I was going to keep it super simple, like what I would do is I would get a popular cheap hosting account on a service like GoDaddy or Bluehost. I would install WordPress with their one-click install. I would install the LifterLMS plugin. I like to sell with credit cards on my site. My experience is I get about half sales PayPal, half sales credit card. So I would buy the Lifter Stripe extension, and then I would get a Vimeo Pro account. And if I was doing audio as well, I would also get SoundCloud. So I think it's important to be realistic about what you need to do, but it's definitely good to manage especially video and audio with those premium services. If you're rolling your own, this is one of the costs of rolling your own.
There's another.
There you go, Josh.
Yeah, there's another thing about Lifter, and this is more talking about the future and where we're headed. But one of the things that my research and knowledge management is kind of fallen over into Lifter that I want to bring is that not every course is created equal. And what I mean by that is you have courses that are reference-based courses. You have courses that are focused on behavior change, and you have other courses that are more about teaching a process. So an example of this would be like a how to lose weight course is a behavior change course. A course on how to program in C++ is more of a process. You're teaching a process that kind of builds. Then you have a reference course, which I think is more of like a Facebook ads training course. There would be a bit of a process in that, but really, I mean, Facebook's changing every week, so you got to put a new video up, and you're referring to different things, but it changes too fast to really create these long linear courses. One of the things we're doing with Lifter is we're going to be coming out with a number of themes that speak to these different types of course archetypes. So you drop a theme in, bang, all you do is plug and play your weight loss training or your meditation training into the behavior change course, and you're off to the races. If it is a process, you're teaching programming, maybe you're teaching how to cook an omelet like Chris, you just plug it in. It's already built, ready to go. These are things that the hosted companies, they'd give you one size fits all. You got to make your course fit into their template. And so that's not, I'm a little hesitant because I'm telling you something that's probably going to be coming out in about 2 to 3 months, but it's something we're really conscious of. And with Lifter, the cool thing is you'd be able to plug and play different templates and see how it changes your engagement and your retention of your students. But Chris mentioned, and I think it's very good to mention that that you can. There is layers of technology that you have to be conscious of at the foundational level to do the WordPress way. It's obviously the one that we're biased towards and we're fans of, but it's not as simple as a what a Udemy does. But then again, there's a bunch of pro and cons which we've kind of gone through too. So sorry to digress, but that's one of the things I'm very excited about because I think we can actually change. We can take content that people are already creating and by structuring it differently, have better outcomes for our students.
Awesome. Now, as Chris mentioned at the top of the show, it's also good for free stuff. And now we're talking list building, lead bait, lead magnets, whatever terminology that you like. Now you can put a free course anywhere. You can put a free course up on Udemy. But the point is that if you put a free course up on your own site, you have their undivided attention. There's no cross or competitor marketing, and free courses are a great like a very short course is a great offer for a great exchange for an email address, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think so. And I think the other thing is, unlike just a standard drip sequence mini course, which I think are great, I don't want to take anything away. If you can create a deeper relationship with someone through a free course that has some just basic engagement triggers as well as gamification. And I think you need to use these consciously. You shouldn't just have like badge like in your face, but it creates a whole different experience than someone who's just receiving a video in their email. I mean, you're really giving them this vibe of like, I am an instructor. I am a teacher. I'm not just some guy sending you emails, but I really care about your learning. You can show that in a free course, built on something like Lifter, which is really, for me, really exciting because I've always been focused on how do we scale the human touch. And I think by executing along those lines, you can do that really well.
Especially, I just want to add, like with the free course scenario, if you are willing to throw in like a blab once a month or some kind of live element to your free course, who does that? Like while everybody else is trying to do an ebook download, create a really engaging free course, maybe put an hour of your time once a week or once a month into it to make it blended, to blend in that live high touch interaction. That's like list building, right?
Yeah, I mean that's. I think we discussed this before, and that's the way that I'm heading down. Like I'm putting a very sort of introductory course together for Udemy, but my premium course is actually going to be delivered live via, I don't know, I haven't decided on the platform, but it's going to be delivered live so there's going to be an enrollment period. There's going to be a limitation to the number of seats sold. And then those people are going to come on live for the course, and then obviously it's going to be recorded. And I'm saying this is what we talk about, turning presentation into education. Now we've got a heap of gone absolutely crazy in the sidebar here. Some questions here, guys. If you want to skim down see those little blue questions.
Oh, Chris, this is a good one for you. So. Can you talk about the community within LifterLMS, Facebook, or within your platform?
Sure.
So I think you're like the chief of the online Facebook group, so it's really good.
Maybe we could get Janet from Get Social Health in here too. That would be cool. It's been really. Cool. It's been really intentional from the beginning that we wanted to also differentiate based on community. Hey, Janet. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you finally.
Yeah. Janet and I hail from the same part of the world, I think. I'm originally from North Carolina, and Janet's over there somewhere. We found out recently. But yeah, the community, we're all about it. Like I said, we don't hide. Like, we try to put on live events, have an engaging Facebook group. We're actually, this is a spoiler for the future. Something Josh and I are working on today is we're actually thinking about in the future putting on a live event where we build courses, build an offering around like a premium group that we're going to help do everything in our power to launch like incredible platforms. But that's like the expression in the future. Like every day, we've got our help systems in place. We do the best we can to do that. And we're always listening. Like I have huge spreadsheets, and I'm right now in a system of retooling that to make sure I'm capturing all the feedback and prioritizing it. Cause this is a really interesting industry in that, there's not really a one size fits all, and people, it's almost always like 80% there. And then you got to do some custom stuff, which is what makes WordPress so good. But I'm constantly like looking for like, where's that trend? Where's that problem I can solve that is a mass problem that we can put into the core, roll our own plugin? And I'm really listening to our community about those kinds of things. And it's really cool to see them like in our Facebook group, helping each other and offering ideas and things like that.
Okay, Facebook group. There you go. That's the answer I was looking for. And why am I not in it?
Yes. So, check it out.
Dang it, dude. Somebody send me an invite. And I will take all this crap I've been doing over here on the side, and I'll go put it in the Facebook group, and I'll get out of your hair. So
that's awesome.
So can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
All right. So, Joshua, you may not remember this. You and I had a very lengthy conversation last March. Oh, okay, awesome. Love you, man. Okay, so one of the challenges that I face in doing online course development is that the vast majority of the people who appear to be developing courses are doing basically what I would say is B2C, business to consumer, individual purchasing, my own pocket. I want to learn even business tools. I want to learn programs. I want to learn to bake a cake, whatever, but I'm spending my own money. And my whole goal is to go after businesses. And particularly, I do social media for healthcare. Big surprise there, Get Social Health. So I actually have made and sold a course to a state medical society. Yay!
Yeah. Nice.
And now I got 49 other states to go to, times every one of, then now name another vertical. So, we've got pediatricians and family medicine and yada, yada. So that's kind of the area I'm going in, but it's a slightly different sort of thing because in some cases, like the case I just sold, the medical society purchased it on behalf of 200 physicians. Mm-hmm. So, and therefore they need access to a free course, but in a controlled environment. And the community building actually isn't that relevant. So some of the tools that are out there and the examples that are out there just don't fit my model. So that's why I'm looking for folks to, chat with. And I see that.
We've got plans for you, Janet.
Awesome.
We've got fun ones. I don't know how, Chris, I'll let you, you're the product lead, so you can share different ideas that we have on the horizon. But this isn't the first time we've heard of this. And I think it's a huge pain point in the industry right now. And it's definitely on our radar of how do we, I'm guessing that the purchase flow happens like something similar. Like the agency comes to you, they send you a purchase order for whatever amount and say, I need 100 seats, right?
Right.
Or something like that. And then you have to figure out a way of like, how do I onboard 100 people to the right course? But you don't want each individual person to be implementing it or putting in a credit card, because that's not, it's not their purchase. It was their organization's purchase.
Right.
So we've thought about this. So Chris, do you want to?
Yeah, this is that product roadmap spreadsheet thing I'm talking about. It's essentially a way to sell seats, and there's different people actually are trying to do different things. Another example that you could use the same system to sell offline, like imagine like cards on a wall at the drugstore for like a course with a redemption code on it. Like you could sell a brick of those to a store about something. It works in the same model. But but yeah, it's something we're working on. I also just want to add that if you're, really serious and passionate, and maybe you can't even explain why you're so excited about online courses, and you really need and want to build a real business around it, if you can find a way to go up market B2B where you can sell in volume and find that sweet spot in a niche, like that makes sense, that you have experience or could go find experts and build the experience pool to like go for it. It's often easier to get up to B2B than you think, especially with your good content. But I can just say, Janet, that we're working on that. I know it's one thing to sell a lot of seats. It's the other thing to also have the person who buys it be able to like keep an eye on it, which is very common in corporate training scenarios. So there's a little bit, we've done some custom sites like that have Lifter at the core, but I'm looking at ways to bring that into, to make it possible for that situation. And whether or not like it's a certain area of the site, or it might be a good case to use a subdomain if you need to like spin off, like this is for this hospital, but you still own the platform and now you're getting recurring revenue based on how many students are in it. There's all kinds of ways to do it. We're working on it. We're working on it. And maybe I'd love to connect with you some point and just hear more about your ideal, like what are your needs? What are the problems? Where can you not find a solution?
Because I'd love to be able to offer, great to have a course that's X dollars. It's $197, or maybe it's $497 because it's healthcare and I can charge a lot more. And I sell 100 of those and I'm happy. But to be honest, if I can go to this medical society that has 13,000 members and say, I can give this to you for $1 a piece. Woo! I'm happy, right? Yeah. So that's really, I'm looking for student scale, because ideally I'm going to sell it to them for $1 a piece, but I know only 10% are probably going to end up taking it. So, do I have seats? They're waiting for them. I upload an Excel spreadsheet and it's waiting. Do I give them, okay, it's just a code and you just enter this code and it's a free, so there are a lot of ways to skin this cat, but definitely I really want to have a platform that isn't going to serve the 100. It's going to serve the 1,000 or more.
Yeah.
Right. I will say one last thing is, if you were trying to do that today with Lifter, you build a site for it and you sell offline, like through FreshBooks or something, and then you create a coupon code that's good for so many uses to match the sales you just did. That's kind of the way to do it now, but I know there's a better way, a bigger vision and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
That's my only follow up there was, let's have a chat, because I have a couple of questions for you, Janet, and we can dialogue via email or set up a call, because there's a couple of questions I have around how much management the customer wants of their students going through the course. But it's never one size fits all. So the more people we talk to, the more features or what that offering looks like is really important to us. But thanks for bringing it up, because
absolutely,
I just got off a phone call and that was what we talked about right before this blab. So
all right, awesome. Yeah. All right, so where do I find you guys in Facebook? You gonna send me an invite, or do I just go stalk you down?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
Okay,
well, I'm a lifter, so hey, I'm a lifter. Wait, is that our nickname? I'm a lifter. Awesome. Well, listen, you got somebody else coming in. I will hop out and keep listening. How much longer are you guys going to go?
Probably maybe 10 or so. We'll see.
All right.
We'll see how it goes. Depends on questions in these guys' time. So
cool. I look forward to talking to you guys. And Tim, you too. All right. See you later.
Bye-bye. See you, Janet. Bye.
I've got something else to throw in there too on the same topic, because I've actually approached different businesses, educational businesses actually, to talk about taking some of their theoretical content and putting it up into an online course. And the stumbling block that I have with them is that they're worried about people pinching their videos. And like, how do you go about securing your videos? Because, I suppose if anybody wants to pinch your content, they're going to pinch it. No, they're going to pinch it, aren't they? It's very hard to secure. No, I could probably say that.
I can tell you a best practice with that. Like Vimeo Pro, you can say this video, it can only be played on the X website. But just like in Hollywood or whatever, if somebody like holds up a video camera in the movie theater, they can just put it on YouTube or the internet.
Exactly. Screen capture.
There's only so much you can do.
It's tough, but so like when you're saying like when you're talking, you're going out to these companies and now you're going B2B. Obviously, their biggest issue is how do we keep our content secure so that it doesn't go out to general public. And I said that there are steps you can take, but saying at the end of the day, if somebody wants to steal it, they're going to steal it.
It's true. Yeah, I've seen people go to the craziest degrees to protect their content and geolocated logins and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, it just takes one person with a screen capture device, and it's out there. And so you do what you can, but yeah, at the same time, if someone wants to be malicious, it's hard to. You can't really stop a screen capture,
And I just want to add, like, if you're at the very beginning, it's really compelling to use like an unlisted YouTube video for free to like start building your courses. And that's okay. That's a good place to start. But sooner or later, you're going to want to move into the Vimeo or the Wistia, which is like, I believe, $199 a year, somewhere around there, $200 to $300. And it's one of the first big investments that's really important. And you can tell those services, like, do not allow this video to be played anywhere else. So
yeah, it's pretty useful, definitely.
Awesome. Guys, so is there anything that we goodness gracious, is there anything that we haven't discussed during this chat that you think is important?
I think it's been a phenomenal chat. I'm just figuring out Blab, so thank you for introducing it to me, Tim. That's been fun. I think if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to us over at LifterLMS.com. They can find me at jmillage on Twitter. Chris is at Chris Badgett. And LMScast is our podcast too, that we put out an episode every week. Who knows? I mean, we just did one with you, Tim, which will be out shortly. We'll let you know, so you can let your community know about it. But we might have to start doing Blabs, Chris. This is a lot of fun.
So awesome. And maybe we can get Adam Silver in the hot seat. I actually met Adam at a WordPress business event in Mexico that I went to recently, and he runs a WordPress podcast.
Oh, right on.
So Adam, if you want to join in and say hello or have any questions for us, we'd love to have you. But yeah, I think like I mentioned, the community is so important, and education entrepreneurs can be kind of isolated. So it's so great to have hangouts like this to get together and share ideas. So thank you for putting this on, Tim.
Yeah, it's been great.
Really, it's been fun, and and welcome to Blab. And this is and we know that Blab has just partnered with another company called PodClear, and they are really starting to cater for podcasts or podcasters. So it's going to be interesting where they take this. But I love the Blab environment simply because of the interaction. Because as you know, as podcasters, when you're sitting there and you're talking, like just talking out into the ether, and you're getting no sort of indication on the temperature of the audience, whether they're hot or cold of what you're saying. Whereas here you're getting instant feedback. People can jump in and ask questions, have a chat, and it's bringing conversation to podcasting. So it's exciting stuff.
That is really exciting.
So we've got another question.
Oh, when is the next podcast episode? We try to do one a week. I believe they roll out of LMScast. Is that the question, Janet?
I'd say so, yeah.
Every Thursday.
Yeah, every Thursday.
Yep, every Thursday. You can find us on iTunes. Also, they're all screen